Today we are going to be taking a look at our first of a couple reviews, getting you ready for the upcoming Unit 4 test. Everything we've been doing with graphing. So again, if you haven't, be looking up those notes that we took before, because those are usable on the quiz and test, but not these reviews. But these are good practice at getting you ready for those. So I'm going to have blank versions of this available on my website too. So if you want to go back after you've done this one maybe with me and see how much of you could do on your own to see if you're ready to go for this, that'd be a good idea. So write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form, remember. That's y equals mx plus b. And in the end, those are the two values we're going to need to have plugged in for, with a slope of 5. Remember, my slope is m. And a y-intercept, remember that's b, of -2. So let's see. Where's one's got a slope 5? Oh, that's got a slope of +2. Nope. Slope of 5, y-intercept -2. Okay, be careful. Don't get sloppy and just circle A, because you see that's got an m of 5, because that could be wrong. Pardon me. So the slope of the line perpendicular to the line y equals -3x plus 2 is, remember, perpendicular. We're going to switch the sign, and then we're going to flip it. Because again, whenever I have a slope, it's really a fraction. So if it's not a fraction, I'll put it over 1. I need to flip it, which makes it, 1 over 3. Oh, there's only one of them that's 1 over 3, and then change it from negative to positive. Okay, if it would have been parallel, I'd have chosen the -3, because they'd have been the same. Identify the slope and y-intercept, and write an equation for each graph in slope-intercept form. Okay. My slope. The y-intercept probably is easier to do on all of these before we even start, so we'll kind of do these in pieces. My y-intercept is where my line crosses the y-axis. So in this case, it'd be 0 on number 3. Okay, for number 4, where would it be? Okay, at 1. And for number 5, it would be at -3. And that's my b for each of these. My slope I have to do a little more work on. I pick any 2 points, and I look at my rise over run. In other words, if I'm going from this dot, let's say to this one, to get from here to here, I went down 1, which would be negative. Because again, if I go down, that's not a positive thing. But if I go right, that is a +1. So my equation then, just like when we'd mentioned up above, we're just plugging in for m and b. So when I do it here, y equals -1, or you could put -1 over 1, x plus b. And I'm good. Okay, but I have to do that part. But on any of these, I can count from any one dot to the next one. Here I'm going up. 1, 2, 3. Positive. I'm going right. 1, 2. Positive. So my equation would be, and I gotta have the y equals part, that's part of it. My slope, x plus b. Good to go. Last one. Only got 2 dots this time, so I don't have a lot of choices here. So again, up or down first, that always goes on top. 1, 2, 3. I went up, so that's positive. I went right. 1, 2, 3. That's positive. But what's 3 divided by 3 going to be? Yeah, it's just 1. So y equals 1x. And you can write plus -3, but I'd just write the -3. But either one would be correct. Let's see what else we got here. Which is the slope-intercept form of an equation containing 0, 4 with a slope of -2. Okay. So here's my x and my y value. I don't have a lot of room to work here, do I? We'll make it work. We'll find a way. So, okay. So here, I'm going to do y equals, my slope is mx plus b. Because we've done this before too. If they give me a point in the slope, I plug in for these three values and figure out what b is going to be. Because once I do that, 0 plus b, and you add nothing to b, it's going to be nothing. So there's my b value. So I go through, well, that doesn't have a b of -4, neither does this. If my slope is -2, it's got to be this one. Because my slope is -2, my b is -4. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for number 7. Y equals mx plus b. So if 5 equals 3 times -2 is -6 plus b. What's my one step now to get b by itself? What's the opposite of minusing 6? I gotta plus it. So my b is going to be 11. I got my m, I got my b. Y equals mx plus b. And I'm good. Now for the next two, there's a little more work involved. You're like, where am I supposed to do all this said work that you're talking about? Well, we'll make this work. Again, when I'm doing slope, I take my y's, I'm going to minus those up top. We'll yank out Mr. Slope guy if we need him. My x's. So let's see here. -4 minus 2 is -6. 3 minus 1 is 2. So I've got my m. To find my b, I've got to do what I did back in number 7. So I got a little room over here to work with, so I'll use it here. And I can use either point. I like sticking with the positive numbers when I can. So just like we did over here, I'm going to do y, just like I did actually here too, equals m x plus b. And just like before, I need to get b by itself. So if I don't write huge, I actually do have enough room to get all this done. So my b would be 5. Just got my m up there. Y equals m x plus b. Boom. And I'm going to do that one more time here on number 9 to make sure I'm ready to go. Got my y's here, so -3 and -7. Got my x's, 2 and -6. What happens when you minus a negative? That's right. Becomes plus. So -3 plus 7 is 4. 2 plus 6 is 8. Be careful, this isn't 2. That'd be 8 divided by 4. If you're not sure, you can always go to the calculator. And no, we do not want a decimal. Okay. So my m would be 1/2. And then just like we did before, I can't get away from the negatives this time. Use this guy. So let's see here. Y equals mx plus b. Half of 2 is 1. And then just minus the 1 to get b alone. And now I'm ready. Y equals mx plus b. And we're good to go. So no biggie. But again, if any of those are things you're like, I don't remember at all how to do that before you just did it, well, that's something you're going to want to make sure that you look up because, well, you're going to need to be able to do it when we take the test a little later this week. Okay, when are two lines parallel? When the slopes are positive? No. When the product is -1? No, that's perpendicular. When the slopes are opposite? No, that's part of perpendicular. When they're equal. I guess I just answered the next question. When are two lines perpendicular? When they're opposite, that's part. When they're opposite, which means I change the signs, and reciprocals. Because again, equal is when they're parallel. Now we're getting into a few a little bit less work here. Find the slope, perpendicular, remember. Flip it. And switch the signs. So there's my initial slope. Flip it. Change the sign. Bang. Only when it's perpendicular though. Parallel, I just steal it. Whatever number's in front of x, that's my slope. I'm done. I'm good. I'm happy. And all we're going to do for 14 and 15 is similar to what we did on the front. Okay, perpendicular. Again, flip it. Change the sign. It was negative, it becomes positive. I got my point with my x and y. Y, that's a 0, equals mx plus b. So if I'm not sure what's up, I have a choice. 1/4 times 8 is 2. How do I get that b by itself? Minus that 2 on over. I got my b. I got my m. Y equals mx plus b. And then the only difference on 15 will be, since it says parallel, I just keep the slope. Don't flip it and change the sign. That's only when it's perpendicular. And then again, here's my x and y. So y equals mx plus b. -3 times a third would be -1. Add the 1. Get my b. Y equals mx plus b. And I'm good. So again, nothing too terribly awful so far, just some things to work through a bit. The cell phone company charges $37 per month of service. Cost of a new cell phone plus 6 months of service is $346.99. How much does it cost to buy a new cell phone and 8 months of service? Okay. Well, for a new phone in 6 months was $346.99. How many more months does it take to get up to 8? 2. Okay. So I need 2 more 37s. Add those on. And that's what they're going to add up to. Okay, so just read carefully. Don't just think, oh, it's going to be 3 months. Oh, no, that's not right. Just a little common sense will do it for you every time. Graph with the given information. Plot your point first for -3, x, y. and my slope is negative 2 over 1. Well, what does that mean? It means 2 down and 1 to the right. You're like, well, wait a minute, you said at least 3 points. How am I going to make my third point? Remember, I can also do opposites of both of these. So if I go down 2 and right 1, I also could go up 2 and left 1. Then connect the dots. It'd be good. But always with these, first job, plot your point. Then up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. Because again, they're both positive. And work your way through that guy. Because again, remember, when you're doing slope, it's up and down on top, depending on the sign. And it's right and left on the bottom, depending, again, on what sign it is. So you just have to sort of think about that for a minute. Again, that's stuff that's on Mr. Slope Guy. If you still have them, you can use them. I'm just saying. All right. Moving on here, we're on to the last page. Convert into slope-intercept form. In other words, distribute always a good idea. And then what's my one last step going to be to get y alone? Because that's what slope-intercept form is. Add the 7, and don't do it to the x. The 7 does not have an x. And I'm good there. Same thing on number 20. Negative times negative is positive, so be careful. Last step. You got it. And I'm set. A few more here and we're set to go. 21. Rudolph needs to get his air conditioner fixed. The repairman will charge him a flat fee of $75, that's one time, plus an additional $25 for each hour, which we don't know, he needs to work on it. Write an equation that represents Rudolph's total cost to repair his air conditioner. Use T for the total cost and H for hours. Okay. So in total, it's going to cost me $75, whether it takes him 5 minutes or 5 hours, plus $25 for each hour he works. So if he works 3 hours, I'd plug a 3 in here. I'd find out it's $150. Well, speaking of 3 hours, how much will it cost Rudy if the repairman has to spend 3 hours? Well, we're going to replace the H with 3 then. And again, you got to multiply before you add, so I can't do 75 plus 25 and then multiply by 3. It won't work. If the repairman would like it, he'd make more money. We wouldn't. Well, and check this out. How many hours must the repairman work for it to cost $150? I think we just answered that. That's kind of funny. And finally, determine whether each graph shows a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or no correlation. Well, let's see. What do we think here? Now 7, you all might have an argument. What do you think? Is it positive, negative, or none? For some of you that are saying none, I think I agree with you because these aren't quite close enough together. If I put a line through here, it's a whole lot up here and a whole lot down here. Some of you said positive, maybe, but yeah, probably not. What about those last two? What about number 23 and 24? Those I can see almost having that part. Now, is that positive or negative when it goes up to the right? Positive, because as the free throws made is going up, the practice is going up. So as they both increase, that becomes positive. The imports go up as the years go up. Up and up is positive. And so that's what I'm working for here. And finally, the school store did a study to compare the cost of a sweatshirt with the number of that gets sold. The price was changed several times. The number of sweatshirts sold was recorded. The data is shown in the table below. Which scatter plot represents the data? Well, we have to be careful because notice we keep flipping back and forth with these. So like here, the number sold is going along the y-axis, which is kind of abnormal. We don't normally look at it that way. We normally would look at something like the number sold going across the bottom. But let's double check. Let's make sure. See how everything's going. So let's see. This first one, the cost was 5. They sold 8. Okay, that would match up. When the cost was 10, they sold 5. That would match up. When the cost was 15, they sold 15. That matches up. When the cost was 20, they sold 12. Yes. And 25 and 5. Now that one looks good right now. Let's double check though and make sure. When they sold 5, cost 15. Nope. No, it doesn't work. When it cost 5, they sold like 12. Nope. When they sold 5, cost 20. That didn't work either. So it has to be 25. Now, like I said, I personally would keep this for tomorrow because we're going to do another review type thing that's similar that hopefully is going to get some of you feeling a little bit better about this test that we're going to have a little later in the week. You can turn it in if you want to, but no guarantees it's coming back to you before we do our next review tomorrow. So if some of you, which is a majority of you, still need to work on any of the sheets that are on the back board still, please work on those and get those in because I want you to have the points in before the test. Okay, see you later.